Okay, then we are Esplanade On Air, living the dream in the district. I am your podcast host, Jamie Taylor, and I am here with the one and only Bryan Pitts.
Jamie.
Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for letting me be here.
Well, it's actually your friend Blake. He and I were having a discussion one day. I think you guys went and had breakfast at Rosie's.
We did. Rosie's Pot and Kettle in East Village.
Shout out to Rosie's Pot and Kettle.
That's right. Always.
Always. But they were having breakfast, and Bryan left and goes, "Hey, Jamie, I heard you're involved with my friend Blake." And then we had a conversation about, I met Blake and started working here at the studio. You've known Blake for way longer than me, right?
I've known Blake a long, long time.
Like
his father was an architect at the Cromwell firm, which is next door to my building downtown. It's at 100 Center Street. And so I've known Blake and his family for a long time.
Well, and Bryan Pitts, you are the esteemed operator of Beach Abstract alongside your brother.
Well, my brother operates it more than I do. So
owner.
Yes, that's correct.
And your brother operates. And you are also a badass realtor with iRealty Arkansas.
Try to be.
Try to be.
You're
walking around with Jennifer Atkins on your team, so that's
I'm
badass.
I'm on her team.
Well, badassery by default was what I was going to say.
Yeah, I'm on her team. She's not on my team. I'm on her team. So.
Well, I have great things to say about both those companies. I have a special place in my heart for iRealty Arkansas and a special place for Beach Abstract. So I get all in one with
Didn't
you.
Didn't need to kick you.
But back to Blake. We can play footsie if you
that's
want.
right.
Back to Blake. He's also an architect. So what did you think when he just came up to you like, "Hey, Bryan, I'm going to build this giant, beautiful development"?
Well, I didn't think it was a good idea. I mean, I really didn't. I mean, because this development down the street, and I don't know if you know this, the Rockwater. My father, back in the early '80s, that used to be the Vestal Florist company, long time back in the 20s and 30s.
The Vestal Tower.
The Vestal Tower, and my dad played baseball for Vestal Florist when he was a kid, and so he and a small group of guys actually bought that 40 acres that property was sitting on many, many, many years ago and paid $40,000 for that 40 acres. And then after for the period of time from the time he purchased it, then he passed away in 96. Really the only thing we did with the property was keep it mowed to keep the city off our rear end. And then we were approached by a group of people that wanted to buy it from us. And so we sold it.
Yeah. Well, they had some big plans for it, as you can see.
They did. And so anyway, back to what I thought about this. Of course, Blake has got the best ideas, great architecture, he's as smart as he can be. And so when he showed me this, I was like, Blake, I don't really know if that's the spot for it. But, it's almost like building a Chick-fil-A. If you build it in the right place, people will show up.
Yeah, and it's like a drive-through around here as far as like people started moving in the minute that the CO was issued. And it was like, same thing, all day through the doors, people are walking in.
Right.
And it blows my mind because you just said wasn't sure it was a great idea, which you and I both, I mean, when you're dealing with opportunity zones, there's all these other things that come up and they get put, in that situation because the area needs development. Not saying that that's even been used here. I don't believe it has, but I know that with respect to the development, it had a lot of complexities going into it, and it's the first of its kind. In my opinion, I haven't seen anything else like this.
Well, there's nothing like it that I've seen, not in Arkansas, and I've been to lots of different developments around the state. This is pretty special, or at least I think it is.
Well, I think most of us are and Blake, we're really just ready for the pool parties, and so don't be like, we just want to let you know we're going to be here. But they do. The pool kind of sets it apart. Like all of the little cabanas coming from Tucci, you just said, in Arkansas, that's the thing. Tucci's like a resort company. They do that at high-end resorts. But coming back to the good idea situation, we were just sitting in the lobby and Greg Hatcher just rolled on by on his bike. Like
he did.
The who's who of Little Rock and North Little Rock rides up and down this trail on their bike, or they take their kids to play soccer at Burns Park, or they hang out over here or have houses in Rockwater, or they're in the Arts District. So It kind of is a great place, right? I mean,
it's a great place. And of course, obviously the development of the bike trail has helped tremendously. Big time. But it's just one of those things where the reason I didn't think it was a good idea, and I've got a different perspective of it, is my dad was born in McGee and moved to Little Rock when he was very, very young. And their home was over at 7th and Pike. And so I had aunts and uncles over there. And so I played there as a kid. And then it started after they left. And then I was born in Rose City. My mom and dad bought a house in Rose City. But this area, I've always just kind of seen it as maybe just a grade below what needs to have a place like this. And so it just took a while for me to
come around,
to embrace what Blake was doing down here. And of course, it's like I said, it's like a Chick-fil-A. If you build a really good product, people will come.
Well,
and they have down here.
They really have, and I'd like to agree in the sense that when Rockwater first started to develop, that's
a huge question mark for me too. I was like, why is that going to make it or not?
Well,
actually, obviously it's done very well.
And I went back and actually listened to this because we had a conversation about Rockwater with Lisa at the time she was developing it on the very original Block Talk, like back before we would like actually film it, and we would say things like, "We're calling in from Skype," but we just didn't. It was bad.
Right.
Sorry, Erin. But long story short, we talked about it with her when she was developing it, and I was concerned because my thought of it was, there's so much residence on the outside that needs to be updated. There's so much residential, and how can you go from this price bracket and not deal with this price bracket? But what really has trickled around and has happened is this huge pride in ownership, and there's been a lot of changes in the neighborhoods around it. There's been a lot of activity. Additionally, the businesses have had murals go up on the sides. The effects of the arts district are leaning this way. Everything is sort of reaching out, it feels like.
Well, and Argenta has helped. The downtown Argenta has helped.
Argenta, shout out to your arts district. And
Absolutely. But the thing is, and I've watched this thing literally from the ground. Actually, I was here for the groundbreaking. I don't know if you were here.
Yes, I was. I was pregnant.
That's probably the last time I saw you. You were pregnant.
No, before Whole Foods.
But anyway, I came down to the groundbreaking, and it's just one of those things where I've grown up. I've been here my whole life, and so I've seen this part of town not be that great. And so I was hoping, I thought, God, I hope this works out for Blake. And like I said, we were here for the groundbreaking. My brother was here, a lot of people from Beach, because we wrote the title policy. We did the closing for him. And it was just one of those things where I thought, God, I hope this works out. And of course, boy, did I miss that. It's worked out great.
And that's what I was about to say about Blake too, is like, he was when I first met him, like question mark for me, because I was like, I'm from another place, and when I see things like this in Las Vegas or in California where I'm from, it's not a big deal because those developments are a dime a dozen. But here, they're very hard to find, and this is also not a resort or a hotel. It is an apartment complex.
Yeah, but it's like a resort. I mean, it's very resort feeling.
But I feel like when I'm describing it to people, I'm saying like, well, the first phase is so amenity heavy, blah blah blah, because I know like how much is coming behind it and how much is going to serve that. But I'm also like, it blows my mind that I live in a house anymore, because I don't want to go home and maintain my home because I work here.
That's why I live in a condo.
I know, and I already know this about you, so I'm like gonna probably take a note from your. They have a dog park back here. I don't even have a dog. Now I could get a dog.
No, you won't.
Still justify moving here, right? And I told my husband that last night. I'm like, here's the bottom line. I'm tired of maintaining this place, and I gotta look at paradise. Yeah. Twice a week I have to sit here and look at this, and I can't live here? I don't think so.
And we've had several people from River Market Tower that have sold their places that are ended up over here in transition. But, once you live in a place like River Market Tower, 303rd, Capital Commerce, First Security, after you've been in a place like that, you don't want all the problems and all the headaches of home ownership.
You don't want to eat out all the time.
You eat out all the time. You can walk to 30 restaurants and bars, close to where I live. And it's just one of those things where you just, it's I can't say exactly what I want to say. It's called,
it's like mixed use living. But
or maybe I tell you what, you can just edit this out. It's what I call the fuck with factor. If I don't have to mess with it, then I don't have. There's a value in it to me.
I mean, it's up to you. We cuss on the show when we need to.
Okay.
When it's called for.
All I'm saying is, and I think people will understand that. And I tell people that all the time when they look at places. You don't have to deal with anything down here. And when you move to a place like this, same thing. Well, you don't have to deal with anything.
It's crazy, and that's the other part. Is like, I really thought when it all started, I'm like, okay, well, at some point it's gonna stop being cool. But every day I come back, it's like, oh, there's a giant chess set, the fountain's working, there's a guy DJing at a party yesterday.
Yeah.
And people were swimming in the pool.
And Blake before he started this, he had all the plans together, all the drawings, everything, and he said, I want to visit with your brother and you and see what y'all think about this. So we met down at Beach. We were in our conference room, and Blake laid everything out. And my brother and I, like, wow, this is so cool. And because I'm a huge South Beach fan. I love going to Miami. And I told
Blake doesn't like to travel at all.
No, he's probably at home right now.
Yeah, probably upstairs working.
But I told Blake, I said, you know what? If you can build something that's got kind of a South Beach vibe, kind of a South Florida vibe, I said it'll be successful. And I was telling that I was hoping that it would work out. I wasn't quite sure because of the location. And my brother and I, God, that's so cool. I hope it works out down there. And boy, has it worked out.
Oh my God. Next time it's raining, I'm going to tell you, you have to come out here next time. It's actually cloudy. I hope it pours before you leave, because when it starts raining, standing right here, it seriously looks like another place, and it's nuts.
No, it's very cool down here.
But anyway, enough about you, Esplanade. No, I'm just kidding. No, literally, so thank you. But so to our friendship, we met a long time ago.
We did.
Many moons ago now. I think Hunter was like 5. Now he's...
he was tiny. Yeah.
Anyways,
he was little. Yeah.
So we met at work, working at iRealty. It was in the very beginning, and now it's just like...
Pavilion in the park.
Yeah. It's this... Remember when we all stood in that window?
Yeah.
And took pictures?
Yeah. We were so stupid. So,
that was a great idea.
It was fun. We had a great time. I was being sarcastic.
But that's the thing is, what an incredible time. What a cool thing to watch the company grow over such a long period of time now to so many offices. And it kind of brings me to the whole thing about Little Rock. You are a born and raised Arkansas native.
I am.
I could have had you on the Block Talk because we could talk about business. I could have had you on I Hate Real Estate because we've all had those days. Could have been Block Talk After Hours so we can have a drink together.
But I've been on your podcast before.
Yeah, but title work.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That's boring. Yeah.
Talking about now.
Yeah.
Well, now that we're friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, all these years have gone by. I am blown away at all the changes that have taken place in Little Rock and North Little Rock over the past 4 to 5 years.
I agree.
I want to dive into that and talk about what are your biggest surprises. We've already talked about the Esplanade, but
well, this is one. Obviously, this is a big surprise, but it's a very good surprise. As far as Little Rock, the East Village, to me, East Village and Petaway. Michael's a great guy. I love everything in the East Village, and both of them to me, as I get older, I'm not quite sure if things are going to work out because I've seen all this stuff for years and years. The East Village, huge success. Petaway, huge success. I love Michael.
Can you believe the Lost 40 brew over there too?
And also, Camp Taco is getting ready to get going.
Can we just go to Camp Taco together the minute it opens?
Sure.
I'm so excited. Yeah. Scott has not had me in there for preview stuff, and I thought that
it's not open. It's not open.
I know, but I thought the podcast gig would get me like VIP access.
Yeah. Well,
I have VIP access at Beach.
We can text him now if you want.
Let's do it.
No, I can't wait for it to open. Back when it was Rebel Kettle, my wife and I used to eat there all the time. And I just love everything about it over there. Rosie's Pot and Kettle's over there. I know we've mentioned them once before. John Barkalter's development is over there. It looks amazing. And so I love the vibe and everything that's going that direction. They've taken the on-ramp, off-ramp. They're on 2nd Street, taking that out. And what they're trying to do is make it more walkable from the River Market District to the East Village. Used to you'd have to kind of dodge traffic and, under bridges, over bridges. And I think now with what they're doing down there now, it's going to be so much easier to access that, and it's going to make it more walkable. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited about that too, because walkable community means being able to attract different kinds of people to live here and work here. But it's funny because I think the first problem they tried to solve, we'll just get limes and they can ride over there, but then they realized that the roads in between will probably kill you if you try to drive a lime over there.
If you hit one of those streetcar rails on a lime scooter, you're going over the front of it.
Oh yeah, and BT Dub, like if you are not from Little Rock, we are going through a lot of road changes. First it was 6:30 widening, and then it was now 4:30 on that side and then 30 on this side. Like you can't drive anywhere in Little Rock without experiencing that right now, but that is very, very good because before we have a big bubble burst, we need to deal with the infrastructure.
Well, the new bridge construction, the on-ramp, off-ramp, I watch it every morning. Because my condo's on the 11th.
You can see the whole city.
Yeah, I can see. Well, no, I can't see the whole city, but I can see everything. I face the northeast, and so I see north to the River Market District and east to the East Village. So I see all the cranes and everybody working every day to
do you remember that we talked about that though on the last podcast? We talked about there was not cranes because somebody said something to me about that's a big sign of major development in cities is you'll see cranes in the air, and there were no cranes in the air.
Well, crane is a new state bird in Little Rock. So.
Yeah,
because there's so many of them up and down the river.
What is our regular state bird, the mockingbird?
That's correct.
Ha!
Yeah,
yeah. If Rex Nelson was here, he would
via Las Vegas, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, and that's the thing. I became a total native once I got here because I fell in love with the place.
You did. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've shouted from the rooftop still because I think it's so wonderful. But you've also seen a lot of things, in the past, like you've talked about, that have created for you a difficulty to believe in the future in certain things, and I think that that's true for every human that experiences life.
Well, I focused so much on downtown Little Rock. I focused in the Heights. And then when I got married the first time, I was in Chenal and I saw that development. I was one of the very first members at Chenal Country Club back when it was built so many years ago. And so I always kind of focus on where I am. and probably not a great thing, but at my age, it's just kind of what I do. And so I'm a huge believer in the River Market District. I've lived downtown. I was the very first resident to move in the River Market District back in 2000.
You're aging yourself.
I know, no, yeah. I was and actually, me and a group of guys owned Vermilion Water Grill, which was in the bottom of the Capitol Commerce Center. And so it was me, Fred Poe, and Mary Steenburgen. We were the first ones to live in that building. And so I've been from there to 303rd to River Market Tower and been doing that for almost 21 years.
Well, and everybody down there knows you and loves you. And you have
Well, I don't know about the loves me. They all know me. The loves me is that's a jump ball. Yeah, that's going to be a jump ball.
Jump ball. For me, I'm lucky. I've always loved you. You've been such a good friend to me over the years. Thank you. But I think it's funny because you want to talk about downtown a little bit. And I've talked about downtown some. Where I do like the library being down there, and I like that there's the State House Convention Center and things like that. But sometimes I do get frustrated with the lack of continuous infill development in the area.
Well, no, like what? You tell me. Well, I'm not interviewing you. I'm not interviewing you, but I want to know what you're talking about.
Oh, no, and that's the thing. It's like what I love about this platform is that I finally have these opportunities to really just be myself with the people that I trust and love, but also we're elevated on a level we get to give some education information to.
Well, sure, or try to.
The residents, try to, right? Or just entertain them. That's all that matters. Yeah. So at the end of the day, what frustrates me is I see things like the gay building, or I see things like the little school that is, not the school, but the big building that is catty corner from the tech park, and I look at it all the time, and it has a name. Down at the bottom is all boarded up. I know you're thinking of the same building. Point is,
it used to be.
I don't have a bunch of money.
Was it MM? No, it wasn't the MM.
I don't know, but I know.
Really good. I've been in it. They were going to develop. Some guys were going to develop it into apartments or condos.
And there's water something issue.
Well, there's some water issues, and I think there may have been some mold issues.
And it's historic, and it's downtown,
but it's just a cool building.
I know, but here's what gets me about it: is we're trying to attract people who want to live and play and work in Little Rock, and they want to be in walkable communities, and they want to feel safe, and they want to work at cool companies, and we have a line out the door for Skippy Peanut Butter, and we're the father of financial technology, blah blah blah. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a little bit of, I'm not going to make a profit on this to make an impact. And I know that I am altruistic and idealistic, and this is asinine for me to say. Yeah, but someone should just go out there and spend their money on fixing it, because we're all just looking at it like, I hope somebody does something with that. We are an incredible city with incredible talent, and buildings that sit there like that and do not get used.
I agree.
Are an issue. So tell me we don't have a million things that we could do with those buildings.
Well, the thing is, my brother and I actually...
give me your checkbook.
We actually went in the building, but there was a developer that was talking about turning it into condos. And this is when everybody wanted to build condos downtown. Jimmy and Rhett, Moses Tucker had done a great job. And so I think everybody was jumping on the condo train, and they wanted to develop stuff downtown. That building needs a lot. I mean, architecturally on the outside,
make it a trade school.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Make it a trade school.
But who's going to fund that?
I don't know. Make it a trade school and make the people who fix the electrical build their company out of there. I don't know. Sit around and come up with a way to. All I'm saying is talk about it, figure it out, and put it back on the table, which I'm sure people do because they do it in their small groups. They have like this interest group and that interest group, and then they all have meetings about what they should fix, which is how it goes. And I understand that. But we are such a small town, and we have such long legs to such connected people that have so much money, and I feel like we should just.
Well, the reason they have so much money is because they don't make bad business decisions with it.
I know, it's the worst. That's the thing.
I'm not being mean. I'm being honest.
I know, and that's the laughable thing about it.
Get that person with all the money.
Listen, this is the thing about it is you know me, and from an economic standpoint, I'm not dumb. I understand what it takes to make a development and make money. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Well, none of us do.
No.
Yeah.
And so what's the solution to that?
We'd all love it to be free.
Should we crowdfund it?
And the other thing about the building, I want to call it the Blast building, but I don't think that's not correct either. But let's say you and I walk up to that building right now, okay? And let's say the entrance faces Capitol, okay? If we drove up there, where are we going to park?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean,
don't you have parking lots?
We have a few parking lots downtown, but they're all in long-term leases. Right. So the thing is, I mean, just from a public standpoint, where do they park? Is there a parking lot where they can pull up, and there's transient parking where they can cram money in one of those machines?
That's old school. $68 a month I pay to park every month next door to where that is.
That's all you pay?
I pay $68 as a tenant.
Well, you're getting a deal.
That's because I'm a tenant, so I also pay rent. But just from a startup perspective,
Right.
let's say that I'm not a well-established business or have any experience whatsoever. I'm an entrepreneur and I just moved to Little Rock. I'm going to utilize the tech park because I really want to blah, blah, blah. But I have to pay for my parking. I'm also a tenant. Now I can't live down here either close enough. You know what I mean? Like there's all these things that we want to have talent come here, but we've got to make some major strides in that area to make it possible.
You know, and I wish I had the answer to that, and I don't.
Yeah.
I really
I'm bringing
don't.
it up because I feel like everyone knows who you are, so now it's just out there.
Well, it's
Sorry, Bryan.
No, that's fine. I just,
I didn't mean to push my agenda.
No, that's fine. I don't have the answers to that. I mean, all the stuff that we've done downtown,
there's a lot of good things. A lot of good things.
And yes, we do have some parking lots downtown. Most of them are on long-term leases, but that's helped those people that are there. The AC Hotel, we're in a deal with them. They are leasing the parking behind their building,
and I like parking there because I'm in front of the wagon.
Yeah. That's true. The wagon is there.
Yeah, so I like parking there, and I like taking my selfies there, and I don't think there's a problem with charging for parking. I'm just concerned that some of those big buildings are going to take something ridiculous, and I've seen ridiculous things happen. Yeah. So I just feel like it's one of those things that, like, if you love downtown the same way that I know you love downtown, and I love downtown, but I just wish that we would, because people are going to come here and this bubble's going to burst. People are going to come from out of the area. And I feel like they're going to get to make decisions about stuff that we've been talking about for a long time. And I think that's why I'm selfishly sort of bringing up my agenda in that way.
Well, I love the buildings downtown. And to be honest with you, I hate it too. I wish all of them were full of people. I wish they were apartments, condos.
Social as you are, you do wish.
I mean, I do wish they were all full. But from a standpoint of, like the Donaghy building, I don't know if you know where that is. It's on 9th and Main. 9th and Main. That's a great building, but there's so much to be done to get those buildings just to where you can live in them,
and
or have office, and they're expensive. A lot of them have
historic architecture.
Well, and there are a lot of challenges there because you can't change things, or if you do, it has to be this way. And from an economic standpoint, it's just hard to make it work.
Yeah. Plus, there's infrastructure issues like you talked about.
Yeah, I mean, and when we looked at that building we're talking about, and I'll come up with it here in a minute, it's so gorgeous on the outside. The architecture is just amazing. It reminds me of the Ritz-Carlton in New Orleans. It's very, very close to the architecture of that hotel. And, from a hotel standpoint, I thought, what a great place for a hotel. One thing I don't understand in this city, I don't understand the hotel deals. I mean, there are hotels every time you look, there's
another
new
one over on I-30.
On I-30, it's the Holiday Inn Express. I talk to people, there's so many hotels around where I live, and I usually can tell the people that are here from out of town because they're all looking up, they
all don't know who you are.
Well,
that's how you can tell. If you're walking down the street and they don't say, hi, Bryan.
Wait a minute. You don't know me.
You don't know I'm from here.
But you would be shocked at the amount of people that come into Little Rock, and the main draw that's here is the presidential library.
Oh yeah,
and that completely floors me. I mean,
no, because you're from here and it got built while you were living here, and it's another thing. But no, people come here from all over the world to visit that.
Well,
and it's located next to Heifer International, and we are number one in
Well, and literally, when I open my eyes in the morning, I see the presidential library while I'm laying in bed.
That's prime real estate.
Well, no, not so much. No, I'm just saying it's one of those things where everybody that I talked to that's from out of Arkansas, they can't wait to get down here to see that. He was such he was just a huge deal, and he was so popular, and people just flocked to this place.
Yeah.
And they can't build hotels fast enough. And I don't understand the economics behind hotels. I mean, they're not cheap to build. And since kind of COVID is slow, it's not as bad as it was. The hotel revenues have got to just gone out the ceiling because the percentage of occupancy has increased quite a bit.
Yeah.
And they just can't build the hotels fast enough. I don't understand that.
It's crazy because you mentioned that, and I'm thinking, I'm surprised you don't, because you get into so much weird real estate. Like, you have sold some of the weirdest things.
I have.
And you really have. And you know so much because of the Beach Abstract Company that you have all this knowledge of how the inner workings of things go. Honestly, I felt like I had a lot of real estate knowledge. And then when we met, I was like, well, there's a lot of it I don't understand from the title piece for sure.
Well, but see, I know a lot about that side, and you know a lot about things that I don't. I mean, from the appraisal side, and I just didn't understand what you did either.
Yeah, but you also deal with people who just pay things for things. They don't even care. They're like, appraisal what?
That's correct. There are a lot
of
of
commercial property. We do not care. But
somebody buys a condo and they just pay cash and there's no appraisal.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing is I am of no use to you in those situations. But that being said, I met a guy one time, we were doing a commercial deal and he came out here and bought an apartment complex and we were under contract and he did hotel brokering. That was what he did, was he bought and sold hotels. He was a broker. Right. And he showed me how they do it. And it is way easier than real estate. It's literally like 3 phone calls and it's like, I mean, obviously I'm not doing the inner workings and I'm not a hotel person, but I'm saying this guy kind of walked me through how it goes. And it's phone call to phone call. This guy wants to buy that guy's model. It's all just like a franchise.
Yeah. And actually the cost per room, I think the average price for a hotel room in my area is probably $129 to $179, somewhere in that neighborhood. And the thing is, if you're 90% occupied for a year and you've got 120 rooms, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Now, of course, you have you have the cost of cleaning the room and all
huge
the
liability insurance.
There's liability. I mean, there's all these things. You have the swimming pool. You've got bars. You've got all these things in these hotels. And the thing is, if you can keep it above 70% occupied, you're going to make a lot of money in the hotel business. It's just not something that I want to get into.
For some reason, when I hear even like buying or selling hotels, the first thing that comes to mind is liability. Yeah. And I think of all the dumb stuff people do at hotels and how like somebody's responsible for that. And commercial
it's just a green light for doing stupid things. We've all done things in hotel rooms. And in lobbies and hallways.
And or just fallen down or just like broke, or dropped something or you know what I mean? Like it's a mess all the time. And I don't know. I don't ever want to be in hotel ownership or management.
Yeah.
But that being said, back to downtown Little Rock, one of the things that you make the biggest impact around too is the restaurants. So I know you know Dan Kovac at Copper and you're down there all the time. I saw you the other day eating dinner and I almost went outside and said hello, but then I thought that would be rude because you were actually eating. No. And then I should have interrupted you.
You should have.
And then Don Dugan, who's coming over here when you're done here this morning, who's a dear friend.
I'm going to be at his restaurant in 55 minutes.
It's funny because he'll be here before you are there. You guys can meet there.
Yeah, I'm having lunch with a local chef there today at noon.
Oh, really? Who's the local chef?
Casey Copeland.
Okay, tell them that we need them to come out here and make a restaurant at the Esplanade.
Well, Casey, he'd probably like to do that because he's bounced around. He was at So Restaurant. He was at the Avenue in Hot Springs. Then he was at Oaklawn Park, and now he's the executive chef at the Sarenson in Pine Bluff.
Well, that's great because I know that there's a restaurant coming up, and I know that there's a partnership out there available. Good. So holler.
I would love for him to do that.
Do that. Also, actually, now that I think about it, Bryan, why don't you just come on over here and start making those gourmet meals you throw out?
I'm not cooking for anybody except my wife and a few of my family members.
So let's talk about that real quick because you do love the River Market, and I'm trying to bring this back too as well. Yeah. I really do value what you do in our community because you're a big, huge encourager.
Well, thank you.
Big, huge encourager.
I do. I love this place.
There's a lot, and there's a lot of new agents that come in that you teach things to that you don't have to.
I try.
There's a lot of times you run across town to open a door or move a sign that you don't have to. You have extremely valuable time, but you do tend to give it to people that you care about. So talk to me a little bit about your philosophy in business.
Well, actually, I made some notes, as a matter of fact, earlier this morning. When it comes to business, probably my biggest pet peeve, and I talked to my son about this the other day. He starts work for Stevens September 7th.
Congratulations.
And he and his little girlfriend, I just sent him to the Bahamas for one of his graduation gifts. And I told him that when he was getting ready to start work, I said, there are 2 things that are more important to me than anything in business. And I said, returning phone calls and being on time. And a lot of people just take that for granted. And that is my biggest pet peeve. Because if I've called you and you don't return my call, or if I've asked you to be somewhere at 10 and at 10:15 you're not there, you think your time is more valuable than mine, and it's not. And I will tell you when you get there that you should have been on time, or I'll just leave.
It's actually the first time that I've ever met you somewhere I was late, and you said that to me, and I've never been late again.
Well, it's just one of those things where,
not with you.
When my dad he bought Beach Abstract Company in 1977, and I remember I was 19 and coming to work, and I was supposed to be at work at 8 o'clock. And I think the second day I had to walk by his office to get to mine, and it was like 8:03. And as I walked by his office, I heard, "Hey, come back here." And so he tore into me because I was 3 minutes late, and he said, "I don't want that to happen again." And so that made a huge impact on me. Yeah. And it was big to my dad that you be on time and return people's phone calls. And that's everything to me. Yeah. And so I've learned that people will kind of gravitate towards you if you're always on time, you're always keeping them in the loop on things going on. my wife thinks I offer too much information, that I'm texting too many things, or, by the way, I'm on my way, or I'll be there in 10 minutes, or, yes, I got your text message. Thank you so much. I'm always responding to things. And I think that's really important.
That really does make you stand out as well.
Well, and thank you. And one other thing that my dad, he kind of had this philosophy about a lot of things. And when I say this in the beginning, you're going to go, what? And my dad told me, in real estate, those who care the least win.
I hate that so much.
I know you do.
I hate that so much. In honor of Kendall. He's not here right now, but he'll appreciate that.
But, it's one of those things where, and it's so true.
That hurts. Say it one more time.
Those who care, in real estate, those who care the least win. It's one of those things, real estate is, you don't get your emotions involved in that. I mean, it's nothing, it's just sticks and bricks, and there's no need to get your emotions involved in it. It's just business. And, the thing is, if you're making an offer on something, or if you're trying to sell something and you're just on top of it, just all the time. And, if a buyer makes you an offer, if you respond within, a minute, 2 minutes, don't do that. Let it sit there for a while. Let them think about it. Let them think that you don't really care one way or the other. And my dad was the master of that. I mean, I know that my dad had made an offer on something one time, somebody made an offer on a piece of property we had, and it was so low that my dad, instead of coming down to meet their price, went above our asking price. And of course, it just irritated the hell out of them. And it just was one of those things, every time they'd go down lower, we'd go higher. And it's just, you just have to act like you don't care. And it really does make a huge difference. It's just, if you care the least, you win.
That's just so paradoxical, though, because you are not a non-caring person, one, but you are extremely successful in the real estate arena, as is the team. I really am thinking on that sentence, because I wish someone had said that to me.
Yeah, exactly.
5 or 6 years ago. Well, for sure.
It was just one of those, just hanging out with my father and learning from him, because he had this Midas touch. And I've said this many, many times. My dad passed away in 96. I would give a lot of it back to have him sit beside me just for a few minutes so I can say, how did you do this? How did you gather all these things? How did you do this? My dad didn't graduate college. He went to a banking school at Northwestern, the Commercial National Bank sent him to when he was first went to work for the bank, but he never graduated college. And he just learned on his own. And I just don't know how he did it. I just wish I had him here just for a few minutes and say, hey, how'd you do this? Yeah. You know what? He surrounded himself with great people. He really did. And that's another thing. I mean, it's the old saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong damn room.
Yep.
And you need to find you a different room.
It's funny that you just said that, because I was thinking, as you said that, I thought, I'm so fortunate that I get to have this conversation with you, because we met by chance but ended up remaining friends.
Right.
Probably because I returned your phone call and I was on time after the first time. But no, seriously, when real estate, those who care the least win. One more thing back to that, though. I think that's the actual job description for an appraiser. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. But your dad instilled this also crazy work ethic in you.
He did.
And I'm wondering, where does that come from? Because being on time, returning phone calls, that's care. That's just being caring. And some of that comes with who you are.
But, my dad was one of those that he always took care of his friends. And I remember I closed a deal one time when I was an escrow officer at Beach, and it was one of my friends, and I didn't charge him our normal fee. I gave him a little bit of a discount, and my dad just tore into me. And I said, well, Daddy, he's a friend of mine. He said, well, Bryan, he said, if you're not going to get it from your friends, you're sure as hell not going to get it from your enemies. You charge your friends the same price and just give them great service. He said, because you're not going to get it from your enemies. You have to charge your friends. And that's so true. And because people, they think it's because you're friends, you're just going to just give them this huge discount. Well, why do that? Because you're never going to make any money doing that. I mean, but this
is so knowledge. If you are a new agent and you just met Bryan and you're working with him at iRealty, hold on to him as hard as you can. Follow him around the office. Ask him lots of questions. Sorry, Bryan.
Well, and the other thing I think that's it's huge is my dad always, of course, back up. My mom and dad were so poor; they had nothing. When I was born in Rose City, my dad was a courier for Commercial National Bank. He was poor. They had one car.
He was a courier for a bank?
That was his first
job.
job.
So in my mind, I'm literally, that's all tied back to.
I mean, he was.
Was it your first job, a courier?
Uh-huh. for beach. Yeah,
I did remember that.
Driving around in Honda Civic, delivering, to banks and mortgage companies and so forth. So that's what I did. I've actually been in every position at Beach at one time. But anyway, my dad was real big in taking care of his friends. And I'm not going to go through all the names, but I mean, there were so many people that would call and lean on my father for help, and my dad was always willing to help. Even when he passed away, he had donated some money to different places. We didn't know anything about it. My dad kept everything under the radar. And, if I was able to do some of the things my dad did, I would be doing cartwheels down Cantrell, wanting everybody to know. But as I've gotten older, I'm not quite that bad. But, it just, and the one story that, and I'll tell this quickly, that I think the reason my mom and dad were so successful, when I was born, they didn't have any money, and they did not go on a honeymoon when they got married. And so when I was born, they took me to my grandmother Pitts' house and dropped me off, and they were going to go to Hot Springs for their honeymoon. And I think the story was that they had $70 with them. And so they're driving towards Hot Springs, and there's a couple standing on the side of the road between Benton and Bryan, and it was a couple that had a small child with them, and they were hitchhiking with a sign that said Texarkana. And so as they went by, my mom said Sonny, which was my dad's, what my mom called my dad, said, let's go back and see if we can help them. And so they turn around, go back, pull over, and the lady that was down the side of the road, her mother had passed away, and they were trying to get to Texarkana for the funeral, but didn't have any money. And so my mom and dad put them in the car, drove them back to Little Rock, took them to the bus station, bought them bus tickets to Texarkana, and gave them the rest of the money they had so they could get down there. And then my mom and dad came back home. Never had a honeymoon. And so little things like that, I think, always come back to help you.
That's the sweetest thing I've ever heard.
No, but it's the truth.
But that's what I love, because the $70 was a lot of money back then too. So that was all they needed.
Well, that was in 1960, 61. That was a lot.
Yeah.
And so, all those things you can do to help, I'll probably never be able to help at the magnitude that my father did, but it doesn't matter. If you just do little bitty things for people. I mean, hell, there was a lady at the Shell station on 9th Street the other day that looked like she'd just been in a car wreck. She was horrible looking, sitting on the side of the road. And I asked her, I said, are you hungry? And she said, yeah. So I took her to McDonald's. I put her in my car, took her to McDonald's, bought her lunch, and gave her, $10 or $15. And, that doesn't change my life, but it might change hers.
Right.
You never know.
Well, and that's the thing. I was about to say, you do that a lot, though. And that is an experience I've had with you as a friend separately from in business. And I think that it does speak to your business reputation. People probably do a lot of business with you because you are kind.
But I'm also brutally honest.
You're also, I was about to say, though, it's not like it's not like this comes...
Yeah.
And you're just like super sweet about it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
The big thing I was going to say is you'll take the time to make a difference. And I think that's something other people should take at least an example from, because there are times, and there are days where I can't do it. There's days where I'm super nice and I just pull over and I'm like,
I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
And then there's days where I'm depleted and I'm like, I'm driving home.
Yep. Yeah. I know. I get it. I get it. And it's hard to be that person all the time.
All the time. Because sometimes you're just having a bad day. But you seem to do it with a lot of grace. So.
Well, it's it's one of those things where now, of course, my life is as I've gotten older, I'm not so stressed about things like I used to be.
Well, your hierarchy of needs changes now because your kids are doing great and your wife is beautiful and your job is fun and your team is great and your business is growing. It's like, what do you have to complain about anyways? Like, it's the Pitts.
Well, I tell you what, the other one thing, and this is really just about life in general, probably the thing I tell some of these younger agents that have children is that probably one of my biggest regrets in life is the time I did not spend with my children when they were little, because I got divorced when they were very, very young. And anybody out there that's got kids that are guys, they're going to know what I'm talking about. When you get divorced and they're very young, you feel like if you throw enough money at that problem when they're young, that it'll fix itself.
Right.
And you know what? I bought tons of toys and all these things. And you know what? I promise you, none of my kids right now couldn't tell you one toy that I bought them, but they can tell you the time I spent with them, taking them trout fishing or just being with them. Yeah. I regret that time that I didn't have with my children. Of course, I can make up for it now. I spend time with them now, but I can't get that time back. That time's that one thing you never get back.
I know, and that's one thing though that you have said that to me before. When I was pregnant with Henry, we actually talked about that. And I'll be honest with you, that has been a big part of moving into what I'm doing now, is that I can't spend the kind of time with my kids that I want to spend if I was to pursue the business model I was pursuing, in the sense that there's no way for me to spread myself that thin and not be there for them. Right now, 3 days a week, I'm with my kids full time. And then I have the weekend. So it's like there's that trade-off, I will say, is something that we have talked about multiple times in business. And I do appreciate your insight on balance and sharing that. And I do agree that if you're a new agent getting in the business, you have to start with boundaries. Boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. Because people will take your time away from you if you let them.
And it's like you talked about with the couple inside the road. You can give to somebody to help them, and it may not make a huge impact because they may not learn from their situation, or maybe it was just a one-time help and now they're going to keep trajectory up from there. But the big thing is, if you don't actually just take the step to do the very best you can and be aware that your time is limited, then
and I feel like, especially now with the younger agents, because there are a lot of them at iRealty. There's a bunch of when I say kids, hell, that's anybody under 40 to me is a kid.
Well, plus it's the most contagious brand in real estate, so it spreads quickly. You forget I've been here since the beginning. Okay, I know all the slogans. Hey, KK.
But it's also as you get older, and all my older friends will tell you this. As we get older, you want somebody to need you. You want to be needed. And I can't tell you how nice it is. I'll get a call from an agent and go, hey, I know this is going to be a dumb question. And I stop them immediately. I said, you know what? There ain't no dumb questions.
Besides, I worked with Jamie for 2 years.
I'll tell them, I said, there's no dumb questions. Because what we do changes every day. I don't know everything, but I probably know a little bit more than them. And if they ask me a question I don't know, I'm like, you know what? I don't know the answer, but I'll get back to you and I'll find out the answer. So don't assume anything. Mm-hmm. You cannot assume anything in this business because it will set you on fire.
Oh, yeah. Don't make any assumptions at all. You'll end up in Mr. Groom's office.
Exactly. If you don't know the answer, tell people. Because I'll say, they'll say, I'm calling you because when I ask you the question, I don't feel stupid.
Well, this goes back to brutal honesty. And I think in business, I'm learning this lesson right now. It's something that I've had to learn just over the past several weeks in execution. I'm like, I should just go ahead and say this. And then I say it and it feels really bad. Mm-hmm. But then once it comes out, the pressure is off. And it's like, when you do that with agents too, and you just tell them like, hey, don't do that. This is what you need to do. It just takes the clouds away.
Well, and I can't tell you all the times I've had clients go, is this property really worth this? And if it's not to me, I'm like, not really. Or I've driven up to homes with clients before, and I'm like, nah, we're not even going in this. I did it yesterday, as a matter of fact. I was in Hot Springs with a client. And it blows my
mind that you're still showing property. Like, you are up in your business all the time. You show property for new agents sometimes that don't have someone open a door.
Well, I do. But that's fine. But yeah, yesterday I was in Hot Springs with a client, and we pulled up, and the picture on the MLS made it look like the front yard was flat. Well, hell, it was a black diamond run to get down to the house. And we pulled up, and I said, we're not even going in.
We can't even walk up there. It's 93 degrees outside.
I told him, I said, we're not going in. We're going on to the next home. And he's like, well, I hadn't even seen it yet. I said, don't care. You're not buying this.
Yeah.
And so
you can't get an elevator installed in the yard.
But the thing is, you have to be honest with people. I mean, because that way you don't have to remember what you told them.
That's the thing. Lies don't have legs to stand on, and they'll all fall down. So it's the big thing. It's kind of like how you run your business. If you are honest all the time, it's very hard to lose clients.
Yeah. Well, and people ask me all the time when they're looking at a condo, is this stuff really worth $350 a foot? Well, the answer is, well, hell no, it's not worth $350 a foot. You could build this in West Little Rock for half of that, but what you're buying is a lifestyle, ease of living, security. You can walk to 30 restaurants and bars, and your happiness. What's the price per square foot for your happiness?
I mean, for mine, it's literally about $1.2 million per foot. If anyone wants to buy that real estate, it's for sale. I'm just kidding. No, seriously, as far as I'm concerned, this is the best part of life for me.
Sure.
Because I get to be in that place where I'm learning from people around me who have had years of experience. Like I said, you're not old. You're 21 with a bunch of years experience.
Right.
You give me the opportunity to learn, though, in those relationships, and I will give myself this, I'm surrounded by smart people, and I do listen to what they say.
You have to be.
And I implement that. Yeah. And one thing that I've learned from you is over time, when I shift into a different position or I do something differently with my life, I really don't apologize anymore. Yeah. And I used to be like, oh, I'm sorry. But now I'm like, this is what's best for me, and this is what I'm going to do.
And when you were talking about cooking, I love to cook. Do I surround myself with a bunch of home cooks or a bunch of people that just started? No.
You're going to have lunch with a chef after this.
Well, I am, but also, I mean, I try to surround myself with, Casey Copeland. Let's see, Donnie Furneaux. I mean,
to say Donnie Furneaux out loud.
All these guys, Cody Rudd. I mean, all these guys are great friends of mine, and they've taught me things, and I love hanging out with them because I learn from them. I mean, I can't learn just for watching YouTube, and so I try to surround myself.
That's how we do it.
Well, I know, but I surround myself with guys that are really good cooks, so I can learn from it.
Yeah,
because I know I'm not better than them.
That's how he got good at real estate too. By the way, he hangs out with JA all day.
Jennifer Atkins. Oh, when you said Jay, what in the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, and her husband, we were talking on I Hate Real Estate the other day about that whole model and the way that y'all's team works.
It's a machine. I mean, it really is. I mean, I love her to death. And actually, she brought somebody up to our condo building the other day, sold them a condo, and called me and said, "Hey, what do we do about getting them moved in?" And I said, "I'll take care of it for you." And so I've set it up. I've got everything lined up the day that he gets there. And then the inspection is going to be there. They're going to do the inspection tomorrow at 10, and I'm meeting the inspector there for her because he's got stuff she's got to do. Mm-hmm. And so that's what a team does.
Can I just mention also, by the way, that Bryan and I are members of the paper club.
The old school club.
We use paper, calendars, clipboards, and pens to keep track of what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't do any of this, and
upside down. Don't
exactly.
Yeah, that's why I haven't returned your phone call / text message, but I'm gonna do that now.
Well, I did text you, but you know what? I think I sent you the wrong. I think I sent it to the wrong number.
No, you didn't. I got it.
Oh, so you just didn't respond? Okay.
No. It's right because
you've learned a lot today
because we started recording. Oh wow, cool. Yeah, we started recording. So here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, I think the most impressive thing about the career you've built as well is that you've done it alongside your brother rather flawlessly, and we have to give a shout out here too.
Listen, I love my brother Brett. We
the most stylish person alive, just FYI.
He very much is, and I've got and then he has a twin, Bryan Pitts, and then my sister who
has a twin.
He does.
Since when? Since he was born.
No, we got him much later in life. Come on. But yeah, he has a twin.
I met my twin later in life.
You know, and then of course my sister, you know, she was a dance teacher in LA. She's moved back here.
Does she teach hip hop dancing?
She'll teach you whatever you want.
Oh gosh, give her my number right now.
I'll share the number. But
I've been looking everywhere.
Anyway, you know,
a twin and a sister.
It's me 15 months later, Barton Brett, and then 18 years later, my sister Julie Kay.
Well, your parents.
My mom had 3 kids
and didn't get a honeymoon.
But three boys in 15 months. No Pampers, no formula, no nothing. I mean, think about that. Why in the hell she didn't? I'd have gone nuts.
No, that seriously is the craziest. The moms back then, how they got through the things they did and raised us all up. I don't even know.
Well, it's like my grandpa said. He said it wasn't a world record, but it was a damn good average. Three in 15 months was a lot. I mean, think about that. And three boys.
I mean, boys are difficult anyways.
Yeah.
But your brother and you have to work in business together and be family.
We do.
You deal with the dynamics of kids and all of that stuff. Do you have advice for somebody who is going to operate something that is such high level and that you're going to have to get in an argument about work and not let it affect your family and vice versa?
Well, here's the thing especially with my family, you know, Brett and I have kind of, we make the decisions and Bart and Julie Kay just kind of come along. But the thing is, it's when our family's so different because Brett and I are so close. I mean, literally, I talked to Brett, actually I talked to all my siblings, but I talked to Brett probably more than anybody. I talked to him probably 10 or 15 times a day. And it's one of those things where it's like with my mother, when she was alive, if I hadn't called her by 10 o'clock,
what's going on?
Why have I not called her? And so Brett and I, most of the time we talk, we don't have anything really to say. We're just kind of checking in on each other. But when it comes to business, you know, my mom and dad worked their ass off for a long time and they amassed a lot of stuff. And our job is at this point is not to spend it, it's to take care of it. And so that's what we do. I feel like that our job is also to take care of my sister because when my father passed away in September 21 of 96, we were at Homer's restaurant and this was on a Friday. He died on Saturday. And on Friday he said, "Bryan, if anything ever happens to me, you take care of her." And so that's my job is to take care of my sister. I mean, obviously to take care of my children and my wife, and then he died the next day. So there's always that voice in my head.
This is your job.
This is your job. And not only take care of your sister, but we keep our family really, really close. And I wish everybody's family was that way. And you know what? Most of them are not.
No. And I think they're not. And it's interesting because I really love that your relationship with your brother. I really love, again, we've talked about this just before the show, that I really love the city and being part of it, having moved here and not being native, but feeling like I am from here because of the relationships that I have. And you do, honestly, the way you just said that reminded me. And I think that like all the people that I realty would agree with me is that you treat everybody like they're your little sister. And when you're working with them, you're trying to guide them. You're telling us to protect ourselves. I can't tell you how many times I'd go on a showing and you would say, call me when you get there. Whatever, just check in with me, let me know you're safe. Little things like that impact a career or impact a thought. Oh, I better do that. And that's just so you know what a great job.
Well, I do try to I do try to treat all those younger people that I realty. I mean, I want them to grow with me, and I learn from them. I really do. I mean, yes, I get made fun of because I use this, but then they're going to call and go, "Hey, I need you." After they made fun of me, and that's okay. You can
laugh about it maybe until you need to open your Supra box and you don't know how to do it. No, I'm just kidding.
But it's in my wife, and I'm not saying I mean, she doesn't talk to her brother very much. He lives out of state, and so they just don't talk all the time.
And you're like, that's weird.
And to me, I just don't understand it. Right. But that's her family dynamic and not mine.
Right.
And so I mean, even when my brother is out of the country or out of the state, I still talk to him every day, or he's calling me going, "Hey, what do you got going on today?" And that's just our relationship. And I guess maybe we're that way because we lost both of our parents so early. I was 35 when my father passed away. My sister was 17.
Oh my gosh.
And then my mother passed away 10 or 12 years ago. But it's just one of those, we've always been, even when everybody was alive, we were all so close knit. And my mom, before she passed away, we were actually, hospice had called and said, "Hey, your mom's not going to make it. Y'all need to get here." So we were all kind of around her. And she said, before she passed away, she said, "Are you guys okay?" I said, "Mom, we're fine." And she goes, "You know what? Don't ever fight and always love each other." And that's important.
That's very important. And I'm so glad you got to be there for that moment.
Yeah, but it's important. So
it is so important. Yeah. And I think it's really important to tell you as a friend that you're doing all those things that your parents told you.
I'm trying to.
You are. And honestly, and that's been a thing for me all these years, watching your career and watching what you've impacted in our city and being able to say, that's my friend. And he has that impact and he has that power. And the business that you guys have built treats its clients the same way y'all treat its family.
We try to.
Y'all do, yeah. And you do. You call me 15 times a day when I have a file to make sure everything's okay.
No,
I'm just kidding. Consistent check-in.
I'm one of those people. Cause
And David, Crownover, that's another guy I've worked with a lot at Beach Abstract who treats me so kind.
He's a great guy. He's a very, very smart guy.
And like family. Yeah. And but that feeling just goes through your whole company and resonates through your friendship.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Yes. So thank you because you really stuck your neck out today. You came over here with no preparation. I gave you no questions like I typically do. And I just said, come on over here and get on this show. And
you can't scare me, Jamie Taylor.
I know I can't scare you. I've learned from you.
You scared me the whole time. So no, I'm joking.
Just wait till you see what happens when we turn off the cameras.
That's right.
Seriously though, it's closing time in this lobby, so you don't have to go home, but you can't stay
here.
Yeah, and I know you have an appointment to eat somewhere.
Yeah, but that's at 12 o'clock.
I can invite myself if you want. I have no lunch plans. Well, we can get him to come out here and do a restaurant. We'll go from there.
If you want to go with me, you can.
Rubbing his tummy. Look.
If you want to go to dig.
All right, Esplanade On Air. We're going to go have lunch with Bryan Pitts.
All right.
Bryan, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Thanks for being my friend.
You bet, girl.
All right. We are off air. We're out.